So I'm David Blockstein. I'm with Bard College in the US. Bard College is in New York, not in New York City, but in the Hudson Valley, which is the upper parts of the river that then continues on through New York City. I'm actually personally located in Maryland, just outside Washington, D.C., the U.S. Capitol. And I will talk about our project in a moment. But since there's just a few of us, why don't we um, begin by briefly introducing ourselves? And I'll start with our Philippine partner, Alec, if you'd like to unmute and introduce yourself and welcome everybody, please.
Hi, good evening here from the Philippines. Oh, I'm close up. I guess most of us tonight are from the Philippines. So we welcome you. I am the leader of Youth for Active Citizenship and Leadership or Yakal Pilipinas. Here in the Philippines, we are helping greatly engaging our organization in the worldwide climate and justice education. So if you want to uh, know more after this webinar, I can you can just shoot us a message. But uh, I'll also want to take this time to um, invite maybe most of you next week. We will be presenting what we are doing here in the Philippines just for a few minutes. Uh, but for now, let's enjoy our introductory discussion as to how you can participate in this movement. And we have been working with Dr. David for around, I think, 3 years, almost 4 years now. So yeah, so if you want to be part of this movement, just listen to what Dr. David is going to discuss tonight, and it's been a fun experience for all of us, and it opened a lot of opportunities as well. And thank you, Dr. David. I guess that's it for me.
Okay, thank you as always, Alec. So, Stephen, you were already talking a little bit. Do you want to introduce yourself just in terms of where you are in the Philippines and what you do with yourself there?
Okay. Hi everyone, mabuhay from the Philippines. I'm Steven Jantano Meliandas, a graduate of Bachelor of Science in Biology, major in General Biology from Sultan Kudarat State University, Tacoron City, Sultan Kudarat, Mindanao Island, Philippines. I'm currently now a research assistant one at the same institution and a researcher from different fields from botany, biology, genetics, and even here in the climate justice and even um, I am also participating some of the youth webinars, especially in the Yakal Pilipinas, and I would like to thank and commend Sir Alec Buenaventura for this opportunity. Sir, thank you very much. Maraming salamat for this opportunity because being a graduate student and a youth of the day, we are the face of the generation, and we are the as a youth, we are the voice of the future, especially to the generations of the 22nd century and beyond. Thank you very much and magandang gabi po mula rito sa Pilipinas. Thank you po.
Thank you. That's wonderful, Stephen. And Trish, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Sure. Nyawet Skeno, Nigoso, Gasoenta, Tanawanda, Onondawaga, Um, I'm Trish Corcoran from the Tonawanda Onondaga, and I teach at the Harley School in Rochester, New York, which is about halfway between Buffalo and Rochester, sort of in the middle of Lake Ontario, not in the lake, obviously. And I'm, interestingly enough, on ancestral land, which is very unusual for Indigenous people since we got moved around so much. So I'm happy to be here. Nyawe.
Well, thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to have you with us. Angelica, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Hello, am I audible to everyone? I am Angelica Matinong Gabinete from Philippines, and I am a student leader. And I saw the Yakal Philippines posted something about this, and I just joined in. Thank you. Thank you for having me, everyone.
Yeah, our pleasure. All right, then we have other people that sort of keep popping in and popping out. So I'm going to proceed and begin with a little bit of a presentation that will um, give you some sense of what our project is, the Worldwide Climate and Justice Education Week, and how you can participate in that. So let me turn to this. So our project, we've been working at this for 6 years now. We have a, um, as I say, based from Bard College, and we have this project that we are trying to reach. And as you can see with some of you from the Philippines, we are really reaching people around the world. I'm going to begin with a short video to give us a little bit of the context of the project here.
It can take air out of my little brother's lungs.
What if it submerges my Bangladeshi land of love, magic, stories, and songs?
I'm afraid my hands can do nothing to stop the downpour.
I'm afraid it will leave us alone in a world of concrete and plastic.
Groom Gaia into a vacant void.
It will take the green and leave us in the dark.
I'm afraid it will bring out the worst in people.
Uprooting our families and communities.
Leaving our children to an irreversible nightmare.
Taking the beauty of each season from us.
Causing untold suffering that could have been prevented.
I am afraid.
I'm afraid.
I'm afraid.
I'm afraid.
I'm afraid. What are we being taught?
What are they teaching us?
Economics, literature, math, engineering, history, music.
What meaning do they hold if our climate swallows us whole?
I can be courageous.
I can be courageous.
I can use my voice and passion, keep fighting even on the days it feels hopeless.
I can fight for my people.
I can hold on to the beauty we still have.
I can save our land against this man-made havoc.
I can be a voice for the sky, the soil, and the sea.
I can make a good future for our next generation.
I can stand up, even when it feels easier to sit down.
I can love my brothers and sisters and protect their lives, because we have the same mother, the great Mother Earth.
I can be louder than polluters that try to silence life.
I can do my part and lift others around me to do better.
I can ask my teacher to make climate.
I can ask my teacher to make climate a class.
I can ask my teacher
to make climate a class.
Make climate a class.
As you can see, that this is it's a powerful video. It's one that has I've seen it hundreds of times, and it still inspires me. This was developed by our social media for climate action virtual internship a couple years ago, which is why the date is 2024. Alec was actually a part of that virtual internship. So, in our view, the biggest threat to our future, and you can think about what it is to you, and I'm sure you're probably thinking about immediate and global threats in terms of the typhoons and others. But in our view, the biggest threat to our future is thinking that someone else is going to lead against climate change and climate injustice. So that's why I'm so delighted to have each and all of you here today, because you're not waiting for somebody else to lead. You are providing that leadership. And what we want to do through our project that we invite you to be our partners in is to provide that leadership, to build that leadership, and to give you opportunities. So we've changed the name over the years, but the basic idea of a teach-in on climate and justice, and the fact that it's worldwide, and you can see this is from 2022. We have dots all around the world, quite a few in the Philippines, for events and classes that people are educating their communities and their fellow students and fellow educators about climate change, climate solutions, and climate justice. We have, so the idea of a teach-in is that you are using the appropriate means for your classes, for your communities, to be teaching them and giving them a chance to share what they're teaching, what they're learning and thinking about. In 2022, we had 350 of these classes and events around the world, 60 countries, reaching 50,000 people, at least, probably more. And they range from on the left to big events in auditoriums to small hands-on classes that are very interactive. So over these 6 years, and again, we do nothing by ourselves. This is all about partnership, that we've reached over 250,000 people with some 1,000 or so events, over 800 classes, more than 80 countries. And we've actually had quite a few in Africa. And again, they range from very hands-on classroom things to virtual events like these Zoom meetings about across the continent of Africa, and just some more examples of the events that people have reported back to us. So we use a technique that we call coordinated climate education. So it's like Earth Day or World Environment Day, that we pick a point in time and use that as a branding approach to have people do what they can and should be doing every day of the year, which is teaching others about climate change, climate solutions, and climate justice. We have expanded from a one-day event to a week to this year. For the first time, we have, with all of our great power, we have declared March to be Worldwide Climate and Justice Education Month. So that's next month. That doesn't mean you have to only do things in March, but we hope that you will use that March time to at least do something special, and also that it doesn't have to be every day. At least do something special in March. And I'll talk in a moment about what kinds of things. So our theory of change is that around the world, there are at least tens of thousands of educators, teachers, informal educators, community members who are concerned, alarmed, even more so, about climate change and climate justice and what it's doing to our planet, what it's doing to our communities. And they'd like to be teaching about climate issues, but they may not necessarily know how to do that in the context of what they're already, their sort of their core curriculum, what they're needed to do. They may lack the confidence. They may need to have somebody to help to encourage their administrators to support them in that, etc. But that there are even more students who are at least as alarmed, if not in outright despair about climate issues, and they would like to spend both their personal and their professional time in helping their communities, helping themselves have jobs in the great work of climate solutions and climate justice. They don't have to be scientists and engineers to work on this issue. We need people of all types. If your skill is with language, you can use your language to communicate about what's going on and the need for solutions. If your skills are in the political or policy regime, you can work on developing solutions and convincing policymakers to implement those solutions. If your skills are in the area of art, art is a great way to express feelings and also to present your, to communicate and to motivate other people. So there's lots of ways. And in our view, that if we can work with the teachers and help them to see the students to see that there are pathways, that the students are going to be more excited to be learning about those things than maybe something a little more random. As an example, that if you are doing a lesson, say, on poetry, that if you ask your students to write a poem or read a poem with their perspectives about climate issues, they're going to be excited about that because it's something that is on their mind. And we all know that we learn more, we learn better if the topic is actually something that interests us. So I'm going to play another video that introduces kind of how, and this is actually from last year, but it's the same basic thing, that how the climate education process with us works.
When a trip to the hospital or pharmacy
leads
to a bill no one saw coming, we're here to help.
The ad.
Where are you emotionally on climate change? 1 is I never think about. 10 is paralyzing anxiety. Can't sleep at night. Don't want to have kids because their world will be through this topic.
The Worldwide Climate and Justice Education Week is about helping people move from climate despair and disengagement to a mindset of climate repair. This is the education that changes the future. So Climate Week is for everyone. It's for students, faculty, and staff from all subjects, like artists and psychologists, scientists and business majors, students of music, literature, economics, international affairs, healthcare and engineering, you name it.
Join tens of thousands of people around the world in growing climate education. You're not alone. People on your campus are really worried about climate change. If you step up, others will join you. At your school, you can make climate an event. This means solutions and justice events on your campus. Art, theater, panel discussions, films, faith meetings, music, games, fairs, and displays. Check out our website for examples from all over the world. Engage your whole school.
On top of your events, you can also help to make climate a class. This means encouraging climate-concerned teachers from all subjects: art, history, chemistry, psychology, all subjects, to spend at least half an hour talking about how climate change solutions and justice are relevant to their field of study, how artists, historians, chemists, and mathematicians are all thinking about climate change. We have step-by-step guides on our website to help you make this happen.
Last summer was the hottest in history. Massive fires, heat waves, floods everywhere. We have to stop it from getting hotter every year. You can help organize Climate and Justice Education Week at your school. The biggest threat to our future? Thinking that someone else will lead, that someone else will stop the climate crisis. Now, not next month, not next year. We all need to step up. Join us.
So again, that was, sorry, let me close that. So that was something we developed a couple years ago. But let me talk specifically, I mean, the message is still the same. So let's talk about what we're inviting you to do with us next month. As was presented in the video, one option is to make climate an event on your campus, in your community. This is sort of to precede Earth Month because Earth Month is May. The other is to do work in your own classroom, and we want to encourage all teachers to spend at least one class period on, oh, sorry about the typo, in their classes. And our goal is to reach every teacher in every subject, at every level of education, at every educational institution, in every community, every state, every nation. And we invite educators to register to become a climate classroom. And the more that you teach, you can register and then report back your teaching, and then you get higher levels of certification or certificates from us based on the amount that you teach. Also, we found that a lot of people were using games in their teaching. And so the webinar that we had last week was about climate games and climate simulations. And we have lists of more than 80 games and simulations that can be used to teach people in a fun way about climate and energy issues and how they can be involved. And we picked March 27th, which is a Friday, as our second Climate Games Day. But you don't have to just do it on that day, or if that day doesn't work, pick another day that works for you. But try playing games with your friends or with your family or with your students. So in terms of events, again, one of the key things about this project is we don't tell you what to do, because you know what works best for your community and your students. So we have lots of ideas, we have lots of resources, but you're not required to do anything. We've had events that go from 1 to 3 hours and sometimes even all day. We want them to be interactive so the people, unlike right now where you're sitting here listening to me, and feel free to ask questions at any time as well, but we want them to be interactive. We want them to be interdisciplinary, because no one discipline has the all of the knowledge. We think it's great if you can bring arts and sciences together, and we want them to be action-oriented so that people leave not only excited, but with some practical ideas as to what they can do to be their part of climate solutions and climate justice. So we've had a lot of, 1,000 or so events. So a lot of different kinds, sort of the, from panels and discussions to speakers from the community. We have some links to films on our website that people can look at. We have You can do performances. A couple years ago, we had a contest and developed, had 3 original plays that are on our website that people can download. They're only 10 minutes or so long, and people can use that as a way of generating conversation. Art exhibits and exhibitions, as I mentioned, lots of different games, but be creative in what you do. In terms of bringing climate to the classroom, making climate a class, one idea is to just spend 15 minutes to, how is your discipline, your top class topic, thinking about climate change, or how is it relevant? And then you could make a connection with careers. What are careers in your field? And talk with an alumnus or a climate professional in your field about what to do, what they can do, and then talk about it, because we all need to talk. We can't just be listening. But we do ask all climate concerned faculty to make climate a class. And as we saw in the video with the first video with the students asking their teachers to make climate a class, for those of you who are students, you're the most effective ones. Talk to your teacher and say, hey, I went to this webinar, I learned about this project. Can we do something special in March? We have a lot of resources. We have one of our partners, Subject to Climate. We had them presenting a couple weeks ago, and all of these webinars are on our YouTube channel, which I will send you all a follow-up from from today's webinar with the recording and with various links, and including our YouTube channel, which has previous webinars. So Subject to Climate has curricula and lessons plans. It's a database of several thousand climate-related lessons, and you can search on that. So, if you are teaching 5th grade math, for example, that you could put 5th grade math, and there'll probably be at least 1 or 2 lessons that are relevant to you. Another group that has resources is the Clean Network, and a month from today, we'll have somebody talk about the resources that are available from the Clean Network and one of their institutions, partner institutions, the Paleontological Research Institute. The Earth Day organization has lots of content, as of course do we on our website. We ask you to register, and that way you get on our map. And when you do participate and report back what you've done, we'll provide certificates for the school and for the teacher, and also downloadable certificates that you can send to your students. We have a communication kit that has logos and promotional and branding materials and various other things. So we have a lot of resources, and if you need something else, just let us know. So how can you be involved? If you're a teacher or if you're a informal educator, make climate a class. Or if you're a student, talk to your teacher about making climate a class. Organize an event. So, for example, yesterday somebody was on our webinar saying she's involved with a museum. Could they do something at their museum? She's involved with a local library. Could you do something at your library? Absolutely. March 27th or a different day, if it works better for you, teach with games. And for those of you who are here today, talk to other people. I mean, that's what Alec and Yakal have been doing, and that's why many of you are here, talking with other people to encourage them to do something. So even though many of you are already working on climate solutions, do something special during Earth Month. For example, we've had teachers who are in the sciences teach with teachers in the humanities, for example, to do a joint class with the philosophy class and to talk about the science and ethics of climate change and climate justice. And then let us know, how can we help you? What do you have that you want to share with us? And actually, next week at this time, Alec, who's here today, and his colleague Tony Suzuki, who was also an intern with us a few years back, will be talking about specific things in the Philippines, and Tony will be talking about Klima Papel, an online resource that she's developed specifically in both Tagalog and English for climate education in the Philippines. But do go onto our website when you know what you're going to do, whether it's a class or an event or something else. Do register with us so that way you can get on the map, we can provide support, and then tell us what else do you need, and we'll go to that discussion in a moment in terms of how we can help you. Here's my email, solveclimate2030@gmail. I'll put that into the chat as well, and you can contact me. So this is what we're about, we're about engaging teachers and students and informal educators in their classrooms and in their communities, and help the students and help themselves to build hope together. So I will, again, I'll put my contact information in there, but I'm going to stop now and turn to any questions or comments that you might have. So thank you for listening, and sorry to go on a little bit here. Okay, go ahead, Gilbert. Gilbert is, Gilbert's one of our stalwarts from Kenya. So Gilbert, why don't you introduce yourself and make your comment or question?
Thank you very much. So, as my name is Gilbert Nhawiyankira, a student of Hubs for Connected Learning Initiatives, and also representative for worldwide teaching in Nairobi, Kenya. So therefore, my point is not a question, but is a comment. Please, based on what I am doing currently here, is grace of your great work, Sir Professor David, and also grace of worldwide teaching. We are now aware, we are now full of some kind of knowledge on what to do. For that reason, I would like to say that you really deserve a great gift, Sir Professor David. Finally, I would like to let you know that in the month of March, we are ready now to have a special event in order to join the whole planet in terms of fighting against this climate crisis. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gilbert, for your kind words and for all of your great work. Gilbert
You are most welcome.
Gilbert has been with us for 3 or 4 years also, and he travels by bus on poor roads and poor buses in Kenya to meet with local leaders and to schools, and very, very inspiring work yourself. Any other comments or questions? Go ahead, Trish.
I feel silly asking this, but I know my superiors will. Is there any cost involved? Wonderful.
No, only your time. Only your time.
Less capitalism. I love it. Yahweh.
Yeah, no, we you know, we don't charge anything. We don't ask you to contribute. I mean, you know, we do have at least one grant right now from the Waverly Family Foundation that is supporting myself and one of our other staff people. But yeah, there's no cost. This is a partnership of everybody who wants to be together. So so Trish, maybe you could, if I could put you on the spot a little bit, maybe tell us a little bit more about Hartley School and how you're thinking that you might take advantage of this and engage, because I don't think we've had anybody from your school with us before.
Okay. The Hartley School is an independent progressive school in Rochester, New York. We have about 500 students, and we teach K through 12. Actually, nursery through 12.
Right.
And all of those students are full day programs, no half day. And my position is very unique. I created it 3 years ago. I got a grant to write curriculum. I was put on a trial basis, and it worked out well. Everyone thought so. I'm here permanently, and my position is I teach Indigenous and environmental studies, and I teach that to nursery through 12th grade. So what that looks like is I might go into the nursery classrooms and tell stories, take them on a nature hike, do nature identification, things like that. 4th grade, I work with intensively on the Haudenosaunee unit, which is the people of this area. And then in the middle school, I have a number of classes, most of which take the kids outside in the fall and in the spring. And then with the upper school students, for the first time this year, I'll be actually teaching a course in the spring, which is called Prison Nation, the New Boarding Schools, and Jim Crow. But normally what I do in the upper school, what I have done is that teachers bring me in on a one-time basis or for a week or two, depending on what they're studying. Whether that be history or history of religion, colonization, as well as Indigenous authors. At the Hartley School, we do a lot of reading of Indigenous authors, and so I come in and talk to the kids before they read the book, and then, during the reading, and then at the end, I'll come in and we'll talk to things. And sometimes I'll also bring in people from my community that might be more applicable to the situation or whatever is happening. And so everything I teach, I try and intertwine the environment and indigeneity, because they are completely intertwined, as are we. We are all part of nature, and more people have to realize that. And though some people look to Indigenous people as having the knowledge, and we do as stewards of the land, and almost having a mystic answer to things or something, really, every one of us is Indigenous from somewhere. And I heard someone speak recently, and a Mohawk woman, and she was saying, and I had never thought of this, but it made sense when she said it. She was saying that all the chaos and consternation in the world really goes back to to the reason that so many people have lost their place on Earth. Like, they don't know what they've lost their connection to the land, and they've lost where they're from, their sense of place. And even in this current culture of capitalism and just trying to get more and more and above the next person kind of thing, they've put aside and lost their culture as well as their connection to the land. So it's really kind of a twofold thing that's going on. And if you think about that, I mean, so many earlier immigrants to the United States wouldn't teach their native language, whatever that was, to their children. They wanted their children to be American. And in so doing, so many people around the world have lost their culture and their connection to the land, and now look at where we are, because everything's about capitalization, and all of our problems go back to capitalism. Um, and the worst polluter of all, I mean, everybody thinks of corporations, which are pretty bad, but war is number one, and you rarely hear the War Department talked about in terms of environmental damage, but there couldn't be anything worse. So I got a little off topic with my description of the Harley School, and I apologize, but
But thank you for that. All love this. And Gilbert's going to ask you a question, I think. But I want to also say I neglected to mention that um, another thing that we have in March is that we invite people to do virtual teach-ins, aka webinars generally. And Trish, if you would be interested in, and maybe you already have a talk like this that you would be interested in presenting virtually, we would work with you and you would pick a date and we would help to promote it. We have a number of virtual events that are, it doesn't have to be at this particular time slot, but we have a number of virtual presentations that are going to take place during Climate Education Month, and we could manage the registration and the platform and help you to promote it, because I know this is a topic that a lot of people around the world are very interested in and would like to try to think about how those issues apply to their lives. So that's an
sure.
invitation.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd definitely be interested. And the other thing about the Harley School is they're very supportive of me doing things outside of school, and so I can be fairly flexible with my time. So
Great,
sure,
great.
thank
Well,
you.
I'll email you directly to.
Okay.
Gilbert, you took down your hand, but you probably want to ask something or share something. So go ahead, Gilbert. Or not. Maybe. Okay. Other either reactions to what Trish said or what that I said, or um, questions and thinking about how you, at your situation. Go ahead, Alec.
Hi, I just want to comment on what Trish has shared to us. It's very good sharing. Just so everyone knows, of course, climate is a thing that we are all suffering at the same time, right? But it hit us differently. And there are lots of other issues that primarily being faced by Filipinos, by Americans, by Africans. So yeah, it's good that we are having this international platform to at least share what we actually experience and our insights about it. With regard to the idea of capitalism, you know what? It's been a topic of ours since we joined since we joined the movement, and we're really keen to fossil fuel dependency here, not just in the Philippines, but the globe. No, as you can see, for instance, right now there are geopolitical tensions still being led by access to oil, access to fossil fuel, while the truth is that that actually destroys our planet. So I appreciate that sharing. And maybe we can I'll ask Dr. David if I can, or you personally right now, if you can share your contacts with us, because in the Philippines we are actually planning to have one day for us to have a webinar with other people from the globe. So we are interested, as I have mentioned, we are really interested to experience it, to hear your experiences, your knowledge. Maybe you have best practices there that we can practice here in the Philippines. Um, we are still on the planning stage, but right now I'm opening that idea or in the table, so we can have sessions like this in a much more how should I say it, much more open, or we can prepare for our own presentations. Yeah. So thank you for again, Trish, for sharing, and also Gilbert earlier. Okay.
No
Thank
way.
you.
And yes, David, you could share my contact with Alec. Absolutely.
Yeah, what we'll do. And then I just put in the chat for these international dialogues and for thinking about different ways that theater and role playing is actually a great way to start some of these difficult conversations. And so I just put in the link to the three winners from our plays. One of them is called what I think it's What Lies in the Fire, and that's by an indigenous American individual from the Southwest United States. There's another one that is When Birds Fly Away by a Pakistani actor and playwright Maha Hassan, and it's written in Urdu, but then she translated it into English. And one of my favorite events of all the thousand or so was through a professor in America who has worked with others in the Philippines, or I'm sorry, in Pakistan, that they did a shared reading where the Pakistani students read and I think acted out this play in Urdu, and then the Americans did it in English, and then they had a webinar where the Pakistani students and the American students talked for almost 2 hours about the themes and the play in terms of migration and gender and cultural identity. So I would recommend taking a look at those and thinking about how you might adopt, or maybe you could invite your own students to write original plays and to act them out as well. So go ahead, Gilbert.
Thank you very much. So, my before I was very fascinated to hear the great work said by Professor Trish, and because of that, I felt a question based on what she has mentioned. Please, you mentioned that we as human beings, we are part of nature. And then you said that your work is focusing on indigenous people and the environment. Based on that context, I would like to ask, do you have any idea also to focus on the indigenous plants? Thank you very much.
Yes, absolutely. A lot of the coursework we do here, we're fortunate at the Harley School to have a nice piece of property. We're extremely fortunate. And we even have like a woodsy area across the creek. We have a micro farm, an organic garden that the students plant. And then we also have a pollinator garden. The students work in all of those spaces, planting, tending, picking, which is fabulous. And that's all the grades from the nurseries right on up to the seniors. And we're also introducing a healing garden. And so the healing garden will have Plants that are just lovely to look at, because that makes us feel good, but also will have healing plants in them, and mostly native. The pollinator garden, we try to have exclusively native plants, and most of those, in terms of their attractiveness to the bees and other pollinators and birds, but we also have plants out there that are helpful to people. And then in the micro farm, we plant we always have a Three Sisters garden out there, which is corn, beans, and squash, the very important foods of the Haudenosaunee people. And they're very important on a level beyond nutrition. But we always have a Three Sisters garden out there, and we plant herbs as well as vegetables and flowers. One of the things about the healing garden and the plants in the micro farm is that we also have a hospice class here at the Harley School. To the best of my knowledge, we're the only school in the country that has a hospice class. And so part of that class in the fall is harvesting certain plants that are soothing and helpful to people, whether it be for tea or salves. And the students make the teas and make the salves. And then when they're trained enough to go into the hospice homes in December, so they spend September, October, November in training to do everything that's needed to be done in a hospice home, with the exception of give medicines, prescription medicines. Then in December, when they go into the homes and then they spend the rest of their school year volunteering in homes, they're able to take teas and salves and balms that they have made from plants that were grown here at the Harley School, for soothing people's rough hands or arthritis or whatever people need for healing. So yes, we do a lot of plant work here at the Harley School, and I want to do even more. Just a quick aside, since you asked, the Three Sisters are corn, beans, and squash, and the reason they're so important to our people is not only are they literally, the name for them is the which they sustain us, and if you eat corn, beans, and squash and nothing else, if the corn is prepared properly for niacin, you don't need anything else to eat. Now, granted, you might want other things to eat, but they will literally sustain you. There's enough protein. There's enough of all the nutrients that you need. But beyond that, we look to them for what they teach us in terms of reciprocity, because the corn grows first and it's tall and straight, and it gives a support for the beans to climb up, and so that the beans can get more sun as it climbs up the corn. And if you look at a corn stalk, you'll notice that the leaves always bend down. They start to go up and then they bend down, and so they're watering their sister, the beans. And then the squash grows around the corn and the beans, and the squash is, big. For anyone who hasn't seen it, they have big leaves and their stems have spikes all over them. And so what those big leaves are doing is they're shading the ground and keeping moisture in the soil for the corn, beans, and squash, but they're also keeping the sun out so that weeds don't grow. And then the spikes on the squash plant are protecting the corn especially, but the corn and beans from raccoons and other animals that like to eat it. And lastly, and not least by any means, is the beans. So the beans are growing up the corn. What are the beans doing for the Three Sisters? Well, bean plants create the nutrients that are needed. They take nitrogen out of the air and put it down into their roots and spread it into the soil, so that the corn and the squash and the beans have more nutrients from the soil to grow. And so they all help one another. They're stronger together. Just like we as people, if we communicate with one another and are nice, we're stronger together. And so that's the story of the Three Sisters.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm very, very happy to hear that, especially to hear this term saying that 3 sisters plans. Thank you again.
No, you're welcome.
Okay.
So before we end here, are there any other questions? I mean, that's a lovely way, I think, to conclude and to, maybe also just to think about a sense of three sisters here, in that we have people from what is now the United States, and from from the Tricia's people that the United States is a recent import invader, but from the Philippines, where of course the United States has also been an invader, and in Africa, we're similar, but we can maybe think of um, North America, the Philippines, and Africa as potentially three sisters as well, and how we can, through this project and others, form communities and collaborations. So thank you all for joining us. I will just again remind you next week that we will have there won't be webinars on next Tuesday, because there's a special program from the U.S. National Academy of Sciences. It starts at, I think, 4 o'clock or 4:30 p.m. U.S. time, which is very early, I understand, in other parts of the world. But we invite people to join that live stream. And then next Wednesday, Alec and Tony will talk a little more specifically about organizing in the Philippines, what's planned, and how you can participate in that. So thank you all for joining us. And actually, if Alec and Gilbert, you could just hang on for a minute, because I did want to talk with each of you, if you still have a couple minutes. So for the rest of you, thank you very much for joining us. Riza, I'm sorry, we seem to have gotten off the time for you. We're just about to conclude, but we will note your presence here at the end, and we will send you the recording from today. So thank you very much for being with us and for your commitment to teaching about climate justice.